Write Night is a talk show with published authors, writers, and content creators discussing both the creative and technical sides of writing, as well as the industry surrounding it, from novels to screenplays to comics and more. And now, here's your host, author Travis I. Sivart.
Here we go. And welcome to Write Night. Tonight's topic is going to be balancing social media. We're going to discuss things such as how do you do your creative thing as well as do the advertising when you don't have a team behind you and the money behind you to do it for you. I am Travis Sivart. I am the author of my latest series that I have book 1 and 2 out in the past few months. Working on book 3 that's up for pre-order is Portals.
There it is.
That's right. Book 1 and book 2. Book 3, as I said, is up for pre-order. Mystics and Monoliths. And I write that live on the stream at twitch.tv/Travis Tavern Talk. Psst, hold on, got a cat in the way. Keep moving, cat. The joys of working from home. Disclaimer, I want to let everybody know who's listening to the podcast. We do have a live audience here with us in chat. When you hear this noise, that means I want to read something from chat, though it might not come up on because it might fit in more organically without having to cut these poor guys off to talk about that. And as for our live viewers, we are recording this as a podcast, so if we are not quite as interactive as normally and only pull in the very relevant things, thank you for understanding. Let's have Michael introduce himself first this time.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Michael Thompson. I'm an independent author and illustrator, and my latest book is Chicken Boy and the Might of the Monkey Man. Action, adventure, superhero, fantastic. Check it out. Yes?
You wrote the first one when you were how old?
I wrote the first one. I wrote and illustrated and released the first one when I was 13 years old. But it was based on a story that I had written even earlier when I was 9 years old. So this was what began my independent author journey. And I just recently returned to the superhero that started it all, Chicken Boy, the Winged Defender. So you can find this and all my other stories at michaelthompsonbooks.com.
I also couldn't help but notice your two-fisted drinking tonight.
Oh yes, I'm dual wielding liquids. I've got my chamomile tea like Gwen Stefani, and I've got my good old H2O from the heavens above.
Very good. Aaron Kennedy.
Hi, I'm Aaron Kennedy, author of Persona Non Grata, First in the Ships of Valor series. I've been a technical writer for 25 years, been published in the Army Times and the NCO Journal. That's Aaron, Aaron, last name Kennedy, just like the dead president. Michael didn't mention it, but he's Michael, common spelling. Last name is Thompson. That's at michaelthompsonbooks.com. And then Travis, I, Sivart, if you're looking for him. That's Travis, common spelling, I, and then Sivart is Travis spelled backwards.
And you can find us on Amazon or certain websites. Just Google us or go straight to Amazon and pull up our books and grab a copy. Okay. Also wanted to make sure anybody who is in chat, or if you're listening on podcast, you could email us at writenightshow, that's WRITENIGHT show @gmail.com, and drop your thoughts and comments, birthday wishes, messages to other people that you know watch the show, or people that don't that you want to watch the show. Right, did I get all that? I think I got all that. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's break right into this. One of the worst things I have found as a writer, when you're a team of one, or even a team, if you have somebody in your household or a friend that helps you out with certain things, such as moderating the chat or helping out with social media, it is so hard to figure out that balance of how much time do I dedicate to creating versus how much time do I dedicate to social media, and which social medias do I use? YouTube, Instagram, Twitch.tv, Facebook. There's so many things out there. How do you effectively use things like Snapchat or whatnot for a business aspect? All these things get so confusing. And then once you add in, it's not social media, but it's just as important, live interactions or events such as conventions and book signings and beta reader groups and all these other things, it really can very easily become overwhelming where you just don't know how to schedule your world to create a world.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, I'm going to look at you
Well
first
put.
because you're probably, to just harpoon you right away, man, you're probably the worst of the
I am
three
the
of us.
worst at this.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'm horrible. I am absolutely horrible. When we talk about what our weaknesses, what makes a good a good hero is their weaknesses, their flaws. Social media. I have social media so that I know when family dies, and I've let that skill atrophy because it was the least important one that I had going on between everything else that I do.
And let me throw that in there for you. In Aaron's weak shield of defense, he is working on like
Oh my
another
God.
doctorate and a master's in, I don't know, plumbing and pounding nails and all these other things, as well as working his full time job and a side job and writing. And he's got a huge amount on his plate. So, Aaron, perhaps in this, it could
For
be a
sure.
good learning tool for you of how to get the most basic skill set for social media.
Oh, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, it's one of those. Travis gives a great explanation of what's going on, but there are certain things that I need to use it for. Yes, I let the skill atrophy because I wasn't using it, and that's the big piece, big takeaway there. As you get back into the more publishing of the books, I'm working on the Icarus Black series. I'm going to need to build that my fan base up for one prior to release, or at least have the structure developed.
Right.
But I'm also a master tradesman, HVAC, electrical, working on plumbing. I'm now a locksmith as well.
Ooh.
Right. But I've
Breaking
got to
into the
use.
hearts of readers.
Well, no. Hey, as Robert Heinlein said, specialization is for insects.
Ah.
I, I'm a firm believer that why shouldn't I don't necessarily need to be the best at something, but I do need to know how to do it. And the ever famous, write what you know. Oh, every skill that I add on is one more thing that I can write about.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
Um, Michael, do you have some opening thoughts on, at the core, can you name the most important thing to have for your social media arsenal and toolbox?
The most important thing to have, and Aaron, this is I'll say this to you, is to try and make it fun, because and we're going to cover all the other stuff like scheduling and things like that, and making a lot of things in advance. But I think if you post the type of thing that you wish your favorite authors or your favorite artists, um, anything that you're a fan of posted, or if you see what other people are posting and you take inspiration from that, that's the reason. That's the reason to make a post. It's like why should I get involved in this? Because if you now anytime you add something new to your uh, to your strategy as an author, there's going to be a moment of like, a whole new skill that I need to learn, and
Sure.
and it can be, even if it's like very very simple. Um, like I wasn't on Instagram for the longest time because I'm like, I don't want to learn a new social media, but Instagram is now the main thing that I post on, because it's on my phone and it's always ready and it's visual and I like that. Um, at M Thompson underscore books, by the way. Become my friend. Follow me there. But but having fun, I think, is the main thing. Post when you have something interesting to say, and don't be too consumed by the schedule that is important, to where you're just hollering that hey, I'm here. Um, Try to make it fun.
To build on that, um, first thing I would recommend is a newsletter. And this is something I
Mm-hmm.
am woefully bad at. I have one, I track it, but I only use it a handful of times a year. And Another thing very handy, if you're going to publish and be sold on Amazon, go get your author page. Anytime you click on somebody's book and it
Yeah.
has their name, you can click on that, and if you scroll down below their bio, there's a paragraph right underneath their picture, their bio, and then it says, "Are you an author? Claim your author page." Go do that. The reason you want to do this is people can follow you on Amazon, and Amazon will send them an email when you release something new. That's a bare minimum. And some people find great success with that alone. Something else I'm going to tell you. Good.
On the flip side of that, you also get recommended whenever somebody buys your book, they recommend other people's books. And they have an algorithm that just says, oh, okay, here's what we got going on. When you have your author's page, anything in your inventory becomes fodder for other people when they buy a book and go, oh, you bought Michael Thompson's book, you'll probably like Aaron Kennedy and Travis Sivart's books as well.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if people are searching all of our books together, it'll start aggregating us.
Here's something else to look at is, I totally lost that thought. Yep, totally lost it. No idea what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We'll put it on the side of the card.
It'll come back. It was important enough. It'll come back. Newsletter, Amazon page if you're selling on Amazon. Now let's talk about social medias, because each social media speaks to a different demographic in general. You're not going to catch a 15-year-old reader on Facebook very often. It's just not. Facebook doesn't pull. It pulls an older audience now. Instagram is kind of your mid-ground. Your faster, hotter thing, Snapchat is kind of out now. TikTok kind of blew it out, and now TikTok is fading with the political stuff going on. And yeah, you do have to bounce around. LinkedIn is another great way, business-wise, to network. And if I can throw this out, Hootsuite is one example of a place you can go, link your social media accounts, and put one post up that goes to multiple social media accounts. If you go in for free, it's 3 social media accounts. If you pay their minimum, it's 10 accounts, I believe. But you also get unlimited posts per month. With the free one, you can schedule posts. All of them you can schedule posts. But with the free one, you can only have so many at a time. I think it might be 10 at a time. So if you schedule them every Sunday, you sit down and hit that schedule and put out those 2 or 3 social media posts that are going to go out at this time, etc. Matter of fact, totally forgot to do it for the shows this week. I should probably have done that. Wednesday I try to make that my social media day, but I've been so hard focused on writing this week that you've got to prioritize.
Yeah, it's a balance.
It really is. And to give me a second, Aaron, I'll pass it right back to you to touch on what Michael said. And I think we're going to expand on this a lot, many times during this episode. When you're posting, don't just post ads. Don't just post commercials. As Michael said, you have to make it fun. People go to your social media, A, for information, B, for a little bit of you. And so putting it on Instagram, I have that on Hootsuite, that's where I schedule my business posts. Here's a book, here's a show, whatever. But I also have it on my phone. So when I take a picture of that cool praying mantis on my front porch, I have that linked so it automatically sends it over to Facebook and Twitter, because Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are my primaries. Hold on, my cat is sitting on my mouse and highlighting things on my computer. So that's an opener. That's all opener. Aaron, what were you going to say?
Well, I mean, we've entered this era of self-publishing, and one of the big things that we run into is we're running a small business. It's a one-man shop for the most people. Michael's got a manager that takes care of a bunch of stuff for him.
No.
I think she's more moral support.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes you need that as well.
That is super important.
Which is big, which is major. I love you, Mom.
And we want to talk about
we don't have the big
support
four
later.
backing us.
Right.
But we don't have the big four backing us. But they're also not taking 70% of our profits away.
I remembered what I was going to say.
The trade-off
earlier.
is Oh, go ahead.
No, go on. Finish your thought.
Now, in the KDP era and all that, they get 30%. We get the other 70.
Thank you, Tracy.
For the most part. Which, thank you, Tracy. But they, it puts a lot of onus back on us, and we're running a business. If you want to be successful in business, you've got to handle your own operations, which is writing and selling books, your own support, which is going to be your personal HRs, your 1099s, all that garbage, but also the social media aspects of it. And I'm the worst one in the world about it. It's not that I don't know it. I've got a friggin' business degree. I just don't do it. And I get harped on by Travis about this. But on the flip side of that, I yell at him about certain things as well and go, what the crap, man?
But that's part of the moral support.
But that's why we have a network.
Right. It's
absolutely.
Part of the moral support. And my 2 points that I'm so just jumping in the middle of everything and throwing at you guys. Moral support, your friends and family, your long-standing fans, your very intense fans, they're very important for telling you you're doing a good job. But also, they talk about your stuff. And that's super important too, whether you're sitting there at a book signing and Michael's support is standing off to one side, chatting with people and pulling them in just by being personable and awesome, or just letting you know, hey, it's okay if you take a break today, or maybe haven't you had long enough a break, don't you need to do some stuff real quick? Here's a sandwich, get back in there. The other thing I wanted to mention, going back to Amazon, and I'm going to speak a lot about this tonight because it's my primary source of sales. That algorithm Aaron mentioned, there is ways as readers, viewers, friends, you guys can help. Even if you didn't buy the book on Amazon, you can review it on Amazon. The more reviews, when you hit certain milestones in your reviews, I believe it's 25 then 75, unless it's changed, and it may have, it increases your visibility. So when somebody buys a book and they get that email with their receipt, those recommended books or authors on the bottom of that email, your chances increase because people who bought that book also bought your book. So, guys, those reviews, especially if somebody hands you, even if it's a beta reader copy, if it's a free copy, go drop that review and help out your favorite author by doing that on whatever platform they sell on. Goodreads is good for that too, but all these things.
That is for sure appreciated. And it's just cool. I mean, that's interaction is the coolest part of social media. You know, we're always thinking about, you know, the marketing aspect and being the small little experience that you're publishing, but it's the interaction that occurs underneath that, or the fact that, or the potential that thing might grow legs and go off and have a life of its own and travel onto other people's devices. That's the cool thing. So interaction is
building
the best
on the
part of it.
Interaction thing for Michael there is, guys, when you do see your friend or your favorite author or whatever post, the more you comment, the more other people see it, because social media is built to share things you like with people in your network. So by commenting on an author's post or sharing it, again, for those algorithms, for those individual social medias, it's invaluable. It's super helpful. Okay.
Well, I mean, on that note, friggin', what you're doing is you're helping develop content for them, and which is all a funnel to our ultimate strategy. Michael had mentioned this early. You got to have a strategy. The big strategy, that's the 10,000-foot view, is sell books. It's to get the word out there. Below that, we've got the typical strategy, operations, tactics. Operations are a specific book or specific series that everything's kind of tied into. And then tactics is, hey, interaction with the people. What are we actually tweeting about at this point? The content. Michael's probably the best one in person when he comes to being in person because, hey, here's a bookmark. Read my book. But he doesn't do a hard sell. It's one of those, he interacts with people, which gets a chance to make a sale. Whereas you got guys like me, I'm kind of fire and forget. Put the book out there, did a limited bit of social media at the time of release, and then have let other priorities get in the way.
So, if I could jump
Yeah.
in, I want to drop down some suggested core guidelines. First of all, know what social
Yes.
media you're going to. Again, newsletter and where you're selling the books. I pointed that hard and heavy. Okay, that is your core right there. A newsletter is something people sign up for. That means they're already interested. You already have an in. They want to see your content in their email box, the most personal way to interact with somebody online, the most direct way, I should say. How about that? So choose your social media careful. Realize what kind of audience that social media gets, and also realize what times to post. I love to post at 2 a.m. Horrible time to post anywhere for anything. And again, depending what country you're in, etc., this can change. But you want to make sure you're posting at the right times. This is a quick Google search. The information is out there. Somebody else has already done this work. You just have to put the time in to gather that information. So
Yep.
you're going to hear me talk about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram quite a bit because that's what I primarily use. You guys jump in on other stuff, or the viewers can throw in certain things they have found. So Facebook tends to be an older audience now. Instagram, again, 25 to 45. And Twitter, people are like, oh, that's just a dumpster fire, and people screaming into the void. That's all social media is. It's a matter of how you post that makes people pay attention to it. Here's another quick suggestion I'll ever give.
Yeah.
I don't recommend posting political stuff on your social media. Some of these opinions, I realize they're very near and dear, but you can hit a train wreck pretty quickly. So just do it with caution and wisdom. Yes, Aaron?
Well, J.K. Rowling found that out. Her Twitter feed is a dumpster fire because she's got political leanings in various regards. And she built this amazing fan base, and then everything kind of turns into a dumpster fire when you start getting into, she makes comments in the wrong direction on specific issues, and then I'm out.
Right. Because social media is like an experience, and it's an extension of the experience of what your product is. So if you're putting out a product that has those things as themes, then it might be expected that you would talk about them. But if you write a product that's escapism, where people can dive into that, immerse in that, and maybe forget about those types of themes, then it's like, wait, this isn't what I signed up for, perhaps.
If you're
So yeah, you want to kind of you want to.
If you're writing historical fiction regarding equal rights, yeah, you might want to go ahead and comment on Black Lives Matter. I have many friends that write LGBTQ books, and absolutely, that is your audience, and you are writing to that audience. So to put that in there, that's smart. But yeah, still be wary and be careful and read that thing a third time before you hit post or send or whatever it is. Because we've even seen people like Matt Damon, some people that just seem untouchable, sports stars, music stars, and they put one thing up on their social media and suddenly they're losing audience. So it's a fine line. Be careful. So
Yeah, I mean, think about like if you're reflecting on whether your favorite author or your favorite artist or whatever you're a fan of, think about what's your favorite thing that they post, or what do you wish that they post? Like, do you like seeing behind the scenes stuff? What would you expect, or what would you wish that you would see? And then see if you can try and like create your multimedia experience, because that's what social media gives you the opportunity to create, to work in conjunction with your product that you're putting out there. See if you can enact that
A basic couple few.
in your.
Do you want to go before I go, Aaron?
Go ahead.
A couple few basic skills you want to learn before you immerse yourself in your social media experience is basic photo editing and basic video editing. Now, I don't mean a
Yeah,
30-minute
sure.
video, I mean a 30-second video. Um, and this is all quite often done on the computer that we all carry in our pocket, our cell phones. They're right there, they're easy to use, they make them intuitive for the most part. Um, Learn, play with it, put it up there, be prepared to delete posts, because put up a junk post, put up a post saying, I'm learning this, and then delete it later if you need to. But get some basic photo editing skills. There are free programs out there, such as Canva.com is wonderful for creating pictures, and that is something you could tie right into things like Hootsuite. And you could do it, almost all of these for free with an option to pay more money. I've never had great results, by the way, when it comes to paying to boost a post. A recent post that went across Facebook and Instagram, owned by the same company, in case somebody didn't know that. I paid $51. I had 7,300. How did they call it? Basically, it
Clicks?
No,
Impression?
impressions, which means it showed up in somebody's
Same thing.
stream. No, it's not, because that same email.
Oh, sorry. Clicks happen after impressions.
Right, one click out of the 7,300 views, and that $51. I paid $51 for one click. So
Yeah.
that could be one of two things. That could be I'm aiming for the wrong audience. It could be how I wrote the post. Now that I had a lot more likes and a lot more, that kind of click, but to follow that link through and show up where I'm trying to get them to go, one click. So that's another skill set. Writing that elevator pitch that makes somebody go, oh, I want to know more. I'm going to click the link. And that's where you go back to what was being said, I think by Aaron, if I'm not mistaken, is, what would make you click on something? What, when you're watching somebody you admire or follow or like their work, what, besides going, oh, yeah, cool, they've got something, what makes you click it? Is it the words? Is it the image? Is it a personal note? Is it strictly professional escapism? And learn a little bit about that, at least. And that's hard for a lot of us creative folks that are kind of naturally introverted.
And that goes back to the self-published versus the publisher and things like that. We don't have a room full of people doing this for us. I actually saw this one on one of the political things. Somebody had forgotten to remove the generic response before they posted their thing. So they had a laundry list of, hey, post this after the debate. Just a bunch of them, but they left generic post on there, so you feel like you're being fooled. And that gets into kind of the artist versus the author, or artist versus the art piece, and then people who handle social media in an amazing fashion. George Takei. George Takei is the king of social media. It's not him.
Right.
He may be running the strategy, but he's got a team of people doing this for him. So he's never going to have generic post such and such a time. Everything seems like it's coming from him.
Right.
Which is what you want. But sooner or later, hopefully, you get big and it's not you doing it, it's your assistant, or it's your social media rep, or it's your whoever you deem it.
Which right
now,
cause at our level, our assistants are things like Hootsuite, or setting a timer on your Facebook post so it posts at a certain time. So you don't have to worry about it later. Take a couple hours to sit down and plan these posts and schedule these posts so they fall out naturally. And then the stuff that you snap a picture, like me and my cats, they fall in between. And that way when somebody who is new to your social media comes and goes, let me see what this person has posted before I just stepped into this What is there? And they get little pieces of fun. They get a little piece of you. They get a little bit of insider information. Then they get an ad that shouldn't feel like an ad.
Well, and there's another big thing that kind of comes into play with that is, yes, you can auto schedule these things, but maintain situational awareness because the world's constantly changing. And you can end up looking like a total ass out there, and nothing that even though you can delete things, it's not gone.
The great
James
example,
Gunn, Guardians.
Go ahead.
James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy, got fired as a writer because of posts that were a decade old or as old as they could possibly be.
Right.
Because they were just archived.
Yeah, things live forever. But at the same time, you don't want to rely on things living forever either, because at any time, like, there can be a glitch in the system. Like I had made a YouTube account at one point, and there was a glitch, and then like it all just went down, which was a real shame. And then I remade my YouTube, and YouTube is another thing that we haven't talked about yet, but that's a social media. So yeah, whenever you post things, you want to imagine that you're saying it over a loudspeaker. Imagine that it's being flown across the sky on a big blimp or something.
Right.
It's public.
It is, and you're looking to be a public figure at this point in time.
Yeah.
Even though that is not your end goal, you are becoming one, whether you want to or not. And in that aspect, you're becoming a target.
Well, you're gaining influence.
You are. And remember, there are people out there that started out not a writer, not an artist, not anything, but I like to put on makeup. And now they're making millions of dollars because of their Instagram post or their Facebook post or whatnot, or their YouTube channel. And yeah, anything they've said is out there. One great example of backing out of and being able to cancel before it goes live, and this is a huge example. The original live-action Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, the big still picture was him on top of like the Empire State Building with the American flag and the Twin Towers behind him. They pulled that because it was coming out, but 9/11 happened right before it came out, and they had to pull that advertisement. What, Aaron?
Oh, and the same thing happened to Lilo and Stitch. A major piece of the animation had to be redone because of 9/11.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a thematic. There was a plane.
There
was like a crash landing or something. So thematically, they ended up going a different route.
Yeah. So be aware of what's going on in the world. Be conscious of it. You don't want to have something that will be misconstrued as a political statement if something happens between the day you schedule it and the day it posts. If something in the real world happens, that your post can now be taken wrong.
Yeah, that is something important to keep in mind with the scheduling aspect of it, because on one hand you're handing it off to robots to take away a little bit of that stress, but on the other hand, there's a new stress that could arise. So there's positive and negatives to everything.
But yeah, our big PR backup is algorithms, and that's largely supported by grassroots movements of our fans, our readers, our friends, our family, commenting, sharing, etc. Realize your value to others in that aspect. Every time I see something from Michael, I try to at least click like, and if I have the energy and wherewithal that moment, make sure I comment, which that's something I'm not great at. And if you ever do post, make sure you are replying to every person that says something. Even if it's just clicking like on it, putting down a smiley, whatever, until you're large enough that that ball is rolling on its own. That little bit, I remember the first time maybe not the first time. I posted to an author that I really liked, and she followed me on Twitter, and I took a screenshot of that, and I reposted it. Look who's following me now. It meant a lot to me, and
It does, yeah.
yeah, whatever you think about yourself, somebody else thinks a lot more, and then somebody else thinks a lot less. So you've got to.
And social media is where you come to talk about that.
Right. So just be aware. You clicking like, somebody could be holding up their phone, going, "Look, Michael Thompson liked my reply to him. This is awesome." Or he said, "Thanks a lot. That's great. He spoke to me."
Yeah, it's about creating relationships and friendships, and it is really, really cool. And so when you have those cool social media experiences, and then you try to remember that and then apply that in your own when you're the person posting, and you're the person interacting, that's a good thing to keep in mind. Like what made my day when I was when I was the one engaging with the content.
Now let's talk about hashtags. And I'll run with this for a bit, then you guys jump in. Hashtags,
yeah, it's a good topic.
When it first happened, annoyed the hell out of me. Especially when you'd see 20, 30 hashtags at the end of something. Drove me nuts. Each social media handles hashtags slightly different. You only want a couple in Twitter. You can bombard it on Instagram. And Facebook is somewhere in between. Putting it in the middle of your post is okay, as long as you don't want to make a whole paragraph and have 20 hashtags in that paragraph. But to pepper a couple through there and put a couple at the end, that's great. Instagram, I'm going to focus on that one right now. Instagram is great for hashtags, and you definitely want to use it on every Instagram post. And the reason you want to do that, and you want to use, and this is the balance, you want to make them broad enough terms that people are searching for them, because people can now follow a hashtag. Instead of following Bruce Willis, they can follow action movies. Hashtag action movie. Fantasy. But fantasy is very general, and if they search for that, you are now lost in a sea of whatever. Swords and sorcery, a little more specific. Michael, our last episode, you said you created your own genre for your book, folklore fantasy, I believe you said, yeah?
Yeah, folkloric fantasy.
How many people are searching that term? So he could put it in there, and it's
nobody.
Well, not yet. But 2 years from now, we don't know. Still, maybe nobody, but still, maybe it's a thing now. It's a lit RPG, literary role-playing game. Well, 5 years ago, nobody knew what that was. Now it's a big thing. When you're dropping your hashtags, putting general things in there, if you put fish because you went fishing, or my cat's name is Fish, or whatever, a lot of people searching that, they're not looking for what you posted. But if you put hashtag my cat is named Fish, nobody is searching for that. It's just cute at that point in time if somebody actually reads your hashtags. So learn your hashtags, learn the good ones, keep a list on your phone or on your computer, keep a document where you have these saved so you can copy paste the ones that apply every time, which I have found nothing applies every time. But yeah, it's still something you can keep 3 or 4 different paragraphs of hashtags depending what kind of post you're putting up. Cute cuddly cat pictures. Maybe somebody comes, looks at my cat, checks out my other stuff, and goes, "This guy's a writer too. I like this."
Yeah, I think it's quite funny to use hashtags as well. I mean, in the practical sense for sure, but I think it's funny when you use them just in an ironic sense. I was drinking my first hot cocoa of the season, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then I took a picture of my mug, which happened to be one of the mugs that I sell. And then I was like, first I just elated over the over how much I was enjoying my beverage. And then I was like, and it tastes even better out of this Chicken Boy mug available at michaelthompsonbooks.com/merch. Hashtag subtle plug, so
See, and that's cool.
it's almost like an inflection. Yeah.
Yeah, you've poked fun at yourself, which I always appreciate when people can make fun of themselves a little bit.
Yeah. Having fun with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so going over the basics again: newsletter, Amazon author page if you're selling there. Choose a couple things. If you can get on something like Hootsuite, and there are others besides Hootsuite, I just mentioned that one because I use it. They make life easier where you can go in and schedule, you can see the results of it. And down the road, when you start getting sponsors, if you're not writing books, if you're doing a podcast or a YouTube channel, tracking this stuff will become important because when you approach a sponsor or a sponsor approach you, they want black and white numbers. And knowing where to find that information is important. If you're on Facebook and you have a Facebook page for your books or your author persona, there's analytics, and it breaks it down for every single thing I could do. I could do it on Twitch, I can do it on YouTube, I can do it on Instagram, and Hootsuite pulls them all together into one. And to see what social media is responding best to your posts gives you an idea, and also which posts are hitting, which ones are getting attention.
Yeah.
So, and try different things with your social media posts. Try it straight up, here's a world beyond our world. Or try, oh my god, I just wrote this book and I'm loving this one character, Bob. He is incredible and goofy. And, so you do the personal touch and you do the broad spectrum, what they see every day in other ads. Because we're wired to that now. And learn from these people.
What sort of posts are... What sort of posts would you say are your favorite to make, and then what in your experience do you think invites the most engagement?
I hate making any post. It's an afterthought.
Okay.
Seriously.
Introverts unite.
Yeah. It's I want to write a book, and I want to write the next book. That's
fair.
I'm loving. All this other stuff, I have to put post-it notes. I have to write it in my schedule, and I still forget. Even though I have these tools at my fingertips. But out of the ones that I do make, I love sharing a book. I love putting that cover up. I am so happy. I'm so proud. I have this new thing. I am excited about it. And that's something else. When you don't get a lot of clicks or likes or recognition, don't take it personal. Don't feel downhearted about it because it's very easy. When I go to YouTube, Michael, I like to do very personal one-on-one discussions about writing and whatnot. I also don't like to do a lot of editing. I like that kind of raw feeling of this is me. And that is not to say that's the best way to go. Again, study your audience, study your responses, try different things, see what works. And just because something doesn't work once doesn't mean it won't work the 12th time. Or just because something worked the first 10 times doesn't mean it's going to keep on working. I think one big hint too is don't flood your social media with only one type of thing.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Diversify.
Yeah.
Well, there's been times I've gone to people's social media, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna follow this person. Let me see what they have. See, I want to see if I want to see their content potentially daily. And it's all ads. And I'm like, I'm not interested. And this is possibly horrible, but especially when I go to like publishers' websites. It's all ads for other people's books that I'm not interested in that genre. And I'm like, why would I follow this publisher? Am I going to puppy dog after them, hoping they see me, recognize me, and say something? I've got other things to do. What about you, Mike? Because you're great at this. You make all kinds of awesome things.
Well, I think I could be better, but
we all can.
Like I I love like making films. Film was always like a hobby of mine, so I like making like little short films, and I have like all of these like self-aware, ironic little sketches, basically, which is like taking a component of the thing that is a hobby of mine, and then bringing that over into the marketing aspect. Like at one point I want to have like I want to have a lot of new T-shirts and stuff come out, and I was thinking I might like have a bunch of my friends like march in a line and like showcase all of the products or something. Bring my friends into the. So I got all these ideas, but I love making those, but that's hard. That's really hard to reach an audience for. I think it's easier to, and this is satisfying as well. Just like have a really interesting image. I think it's always important to have some sort of visual aspect to it. I think most social media, they allow some form of visual aspect. And if you have something that's eye-grabbing or interesting or just a really good picture, and then you couple that with just a perfect caption or
well, picture points is worth 1,000 words. Friggin' 140 characters and all that.
Exactly.
A couple things. When you're done, Michael, I want to talk about a couple things you've done. Go on.
Okay, and just I mean from the most basic, it takes up more space. Like if you're scrolling through Facebook, you can have stuff that's text or photos, and photos they take up more space, and so it'll have a bigger block in the news feed, and more of an opportunity for it to grab someone's eye.
Here's something I will recommend. If you're doing videos, don't make it where every single one of your videos has to have the sound on, because a lot of people scroll at work.
Right.
And they don't want to turn on the sound. Now, Michael's done a few things that I really admire on social media. One, when he's at a live event. Hold on, cat. Come in. One thing he did, when he's at an event, he takes multiple pictures, and then he posts these pictures of other people holding the orb of World of the Orb. And this is a great way to connect those people and interact after the fact, to remind them when they saw so much that day, hey, there was this guy. Another thing he did, he had a book coming out, and I think it was Chicken Boy, but I'm not sure. Forgive me for that, Michael. And you had short videos of like Bigfoot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was it. That was Chicken Boy.
Yeah.
I do.
And that was, even without sound, it was visually caught my eye. And it was fun, and it was silly, and it was his, this is coming, it was his countdown thing. And
it was so funny.
Tell us a little bit.
It was so funny. Yeah, here's a little behind the scenes for you, because I'm actually filming and also like wearing there was, when I was doing the countdown video, I had bananas in a basket, and then I would have a Sasquatch hand reach on, like the fingers would wiggle and grab a banana and then dart off screen. And so the number of bananas would equal the amount of days, and then up on the screen would flash, the number, this many days, until the release of Chicken Boy 4, because it had been so long since I had released a Chicken Boy book. I had the original trilogy, and then I did the novels, and then I felt the compulsion to return, and so that's what I did. That was really fun. And then finally, for the day of release, I had the Sasquatch-like hand place bananas, which I happened to have 3 bananas, which shaped a perfect number 4. What a treat that was! And they were attractive ripe bananas as well, because there was a previous version of that where they were quite spotty and not good, but a perfect banana. And so the Sasquatch hand placed it into the shape of the 4, and then it flashed and turned into the number, and then it was a cover reveal video. And then I also did one where my friend walked through the woods. We did a spoof of the Patterson Sasquatch video, the classic, the strolling. Actually, here we go. This pose, this guy, the strolling and look. We did that, but with Chicken Boy 4 in his grasp, and at a certain point in the video, I replayed in slow motion playing a royalty-free X-Files adjacent music, and then zoomed in on the cover, which was blurry, and then it did like this zoom and enhance thing, and then output it says Chicken Boy 4 confirmed, and yeah, so that was fun. I like doing little videos like that, and then I'll just put those up. But one behind the scenes thing from the banana video is I'm wearing the costume and filming it at the same time, but I had one hand from one costume, which was actually affixed to the costume, and I'm wearing another costume on top of that. That's like, it's a werewolf costume, but it doesn't have the right, so it had the right fur but not the right hand.
Right.
And then I have one costume that has the right hand but not the right fur. So I'm wearing 2 layers of fur and sweating like a pig as I'm filming and like reaching on and off. So it's really funny.
Now, we've got about 10 minutes left before we wrap this episode up. Aaron, with you being the least social media active, do you have any questions?
No, not really. It's not that I don't know the techniques or anything like that. It's just I'm too lazy to do them. It's an acknowledged fault, but I'll probably end up building up more of that as I build my tradesman, my contractor webpage as well, because I have to do that for both. So the I've got to bring the skill back up to where it needs to be for multiple things now, not just because, oh, there's that. I have a reason, therefore I can get it out of an atrophied state.
In that case,
what do you think is the thing that you most want to post?
Oh, shoot.
Not to put you on the spot.
No. Really, I'd like to do some, and this is going to start off on the tradesman site, quick little 5-minute tool reviews.
Oh,
I've got
cool.
a tool right. Hey, this is a such and such. I use it for this in HVAC. So kind of an HVAC made easy, or electricians. I'm like, hey, and it can be something as simple as, I've got this Milwaukee drill. It's great. I use it for this. I made sure to pick up these 2 items to go with it because I can interchange the heads.
All right, yeah.
So this falls under kind of building a toolbox. One of the things I tell everybody is, hey, if you're going to build a tool bag or anything to work around the house, one $20 tool a week, $100 tool a month. Give up coffee a couple days. And by the end of 2 months, you're going to have this nice functional tool bag that's going to work throughout your house. On the writing side, same concept. I've just got to find those. And it may just be one of those, hey, reading this book now, I think it's going to work great in this genre. Or, oh, this is a Bram Stoker. It's a great example of this writing technique. Little things like that.
Yeah.
And if I can take us back to some of the core concepts here, let's talk about schedule. And not scheduling of posts.
Oh, yes.
That's a little Google thing to find out the best time. By the way, Hootsuite has a wonderful feature where it does auto schedule. So it will post it the best time in the next 12 hours for you or whatever. And that's a nice perk there. But in real life, balancing the time it takes to write and then edit and then create a cover or purchase a cover and work with an artist or whatever you're working on versus the social media versus the live interaction, whether it's responding to that social media or doing events. Make time for each one. Building a schedule in your life, I do this on this day during these hours. Whether you're working a full-time job or multiple jobs, that's going to be the best way to make sure you get these done. The hardest part of that is kicking yourself in your own butt to make sure you actually do it when you have scheduled yourself to do it. Don't get lost in that maze of social media, and because it's pretty easy to find, oh wow, I've just spent 6 hours tweaking things. And like any project, there's a point where you have to let go and just put it out there. And you can't spend so much time on social media that you can't create, but it is, I won't say necessary tool, because people still win the lottery. but it's whatever right below necessary is. Yeah, Aaron.
On that note, friggin', there's only 168 hours in a week. We are small business owners. The expectation is 60, 70 hours in that week of working on our craft, whatever that happens to be. You still got to sleep. You still have to have recreational time, otherwise you get burned out. But when you take that 60 hours and you start knocking it off, okay, I'm going to write for 30 hours or 20 hours or whatever it happens to be. I'm going to research for 5 hours. Start adding it up and make sure you've actually dedicated time to do that.
Yeah.
And as an example, and just using myself as an example here, full-time job, 40 hours. Sleeping, 56 hours. I'm at 96 hours now. That only leaves 72 hours of other things, which I ran a marathon today. That was 8 hours just gone, not including the drive time.
Right.
They start disappearing real damn quick.
And downtime is important to schedule. That recreation Aaron mentioned. And by the way, Tajinter just commented, this is your job. Even if you love it, you need to dedicate yourself to it. And that is true. But make
Very
sure
true.
you do schedule the time away from your computer, especially if you're working only from home. If you're blessed enough to make a living off this, I've heard so many authors just in the past week alone tell me they never have time for anything else. They're always writing the next thing. That's not healthy. Make sure you schedule time where your computer is not on, or if it's on, you're playing a video game and just relaxing. Go watch that thing on Netflix, or get out of the house and go to a park and take a walk, get some exercise. All these things are super important. Don't break yourself, because if you break yourself, you don't have the energy to do what you're loving doing.
That's a very good point.
Any closing thoughts? Because we're going to do some outro music here in a minute.
That was a fantastic closing thought.
Yeah, it's so good luck with it all. If you have questions, you can always contact us, or else if you want to just throw a birthday wish or a personal message at somebody who watches the show, whether it's on the podcast or whether it's here live at twitch.tv/Travis Tavern Talk, you can email us at rightnightshow@gmail.com. That's WRITENIGHT show@gmail.com. And we will take a look at that and possibly even read it live on air for you. Let's see, do we have any other closing stuff? I want to say thank you for all the support to everybody who watched us live. Thank you for all the comments. To Jinter, it was good to see you. Word to win. And, to Jinter says, love your work. I'll hopefully get to see more of you all next week. Don't forget, you can catch us on the podcast. We're on Amazon and Google and Apple and Spotify and Spreaker and iHeartRadio and a lot of different places. Do want to thank Spacey Tracy for the bits and everybody else for the follows, being here, the subs, and all that kind of support. Okay, we're going to get out of here. You guys have a great night, and we'll catch you again next time. Oh, look at that. Hold on. We got to do a quick raise a glass here to Jinter, who just gifted Mike a sub. There you go.
Hey, thank you. This is my favorite channel.
You guys have a great night. We'll catch you again next time.
Thank you for joining author Travis I. Sivart and the other writers, content creators, and all-around amazing people for our discussion here on Right Night. Join us again soon, and until you do, make sure you create with passion, enjoy the journey, and remember, every night can be right night.